Hello everyone, it is Magnum, and today I'm talking about Love, the movie Love, which is soon to come out in theatres. I don't know if it's a worldwide release or not, but I'm just going to talk about it, and if it sounds like an interesting foreign movie you'd check out, then by all means do so. I may have a download link available. Anyway, the plot of this movie follows an aspiring young filmmaker, ironically enough, and I'm fairly certain this is quite a personal project for the director, and the genre of the movie is right in line with his previous works about erotica and love and specifically the dark, animal, reproductive side of humanity, where rules and morals get thrown out the window and no one gives a fuck. Or rather, they do give a fuck. But essentially, the majority of the story of this movie is set in a flashback, and we have our young protagonist, the filmmaker guy, who engages in a conversation with his ex-girlfriend's mother. And essentially, you have this guy who has been in a loving relationship with the love of his life, and he's essentially been exploring the sexual world, you could say, and he's been banging all sorts of different shapes and sizes, and he gets one of the other women he's fucking pregnant, and as a result his girlfriend, the love of his life, ditches him, and he's on the phone talking to her mother because apparently she's disappeared and she has suicidal tendencies and the mother's worried, and the conversation is what takes place throughout the film, and we see the majority of the story in flashbacks. Now, off the bat, I quite enjoyed this movie, and there are a number of positive things I have to say about it, other than the fact that there are a lot of sex scenes in the film that are all shot in 3D. First off, this is definitely better than 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, in terms of watching movies within the erotica genre, especially if you're someone that's not really into that, I would say this is better than your average exploitation movie. There's a lot of good things going for this film. One thing I noticed immediately while watching it, and I read up on this film to confirm, but all the love scenes look almost genuine. I don't think they were real sex scenes, but I'm pretty sure they were all improvised and unchoreographed. And I've read up on this and confirmed this, but you know, all the love-making scenes were unchoreographed and very natural looking, and added to the impact of the movie. I like the fact that it didn't shy away from the sex scenes, essentially, because there's no real reason why you should as a filmmaker. I mean, if people want to watch porn, they can go watch porn, and if you're making a movie that's about sex, I mean, what's the point in shying away from showing love-making scenes? You then have the acting in the movie, and a lot of people have panned particularly the lead actor's performance. I enjoyed this movie because I didn't recognise any of the actors, and they were all foreign unknowns, virtually. I think the lead actor's been in a few things coming out recently, but, I mean, I didn't think he did a bad job. The way I describe it, actually, because this gets into the main point of what I want to talk about with this film. The lead actor in the movie, he's sort of, I guess he's very neutral, and I mean, as I said, this movie's like a vehicle to explore the world of, you know, the underworld of lovemaking, essentially, and all the darkness associated with it, and various ideas that the director himself wanted to explore. And when you think of a generic, bland protagonist, you typically think of action movies or movies like Star Wars with Luke Skywalker. You don't think of like an indie-style movie about love. I'm pretty sure that the only other movie that used the title Love was a sci-fi movie that came out in 2011 that not many people remembered, and as a result they could use the title of Love for this movie. But other than the actor playing a bland protagonist for the sake of it, you have to take into consideration that this movie is all about relationships breaking down and, you know, people fighting and screaming at each other, people reacting, essentially, reactive behaviour. And if you think about just in terms of reactive behaviour we're talking about here and how the universe works, I guess, and just my ideas coming away from watching this film, if you think about, say, strength training or bodybuilding, you know, you do work and your muscles get bigger. It requires a breakdown and build-up. It just, you know, to go from something being weaker to something being stronger and more powerful requires work. And to go from all these negative characteristics, these reactive characteristics, to positive characteristics requires work, requires speeding up, essentially. I'm fairly convinced that in order to even feel the sensation of love in your life and to love everything, you sort of have to be moving at a certain speed. The slower you move, the more everything appears in reverse. In fact, it's possible that if you are moving slow enough, for any reason at all, you will actually get pleasure from ruining your own life, and you will feel disgust at, you know, doing the things that would make your life better. That's where you get people who are sadists and, you know, people who are really low. Now, this movie's all about love, and it has, you know, sayings in the film where people exclaim things like, how could something so beautiful hurt so much? And I have a feeling they're not really talking about love. I mean, it's one of those cases where I don't know whether I'm smarter than the movie or the movie's smarter than me. But considering I found this film quite interesting, and people have panned the lead actor, and I didn't think he was that bad, or rather, I thought he was doing a good job of what this movie was going for, I'll explore this a little deeper. The lead actor who's playing a character who's, you know, surrounded by failing relationships, and he's, you know, exploring sexuality. He's a pretty young guy. He's sort of in the university He's a cinema student, so he's in that whole world where people are, you know, doing that sort of stuff at that age. He comes across as a character who's not that in control. I mean, of course he's a bit of a noob, the fact that he gets another girl pregnant anyway. I mean, I really don't know how you accidentally get a girl pregnant, and I don't want to find out. But essentially this guy is not a risen character. You couldn't describe him as a master of the universe. He's not moving that fast, and from the way I understand things, if you are not, for any reason at all, the most proactive, you know, fast-moving, you know, loving version of yourself, you will not be able to use creative and destructive forces appropriately at the appropriate times, and it is all luck, to a large extent, with, you know, varying degrees of severity depending on how slow you're sort of, you know, moving. I'm getting into spirituality a bit here, but I think it's applicable considering the title of this movie. And if you look at the lead actor of this film and the character he's playing and you just pan him as a bad actor, or the decisions he's making are bullshit, if you're looking at this film from a technical level or even on an emotional level, or just his overall performance, especially when in chemistry with the mother character, in my mind, I think there's actually nothing wrong with his acting. I mean, if you look at just normal people in relationships, I mean, I'm talking about Coronation Street type bullshit. I mean, just look at your friends, look at, you know, just people around you at bars or in clubs or whoever the fuck you hang out with, and just look at the way they sort of, you know, deal with each other and how they just sort of all react and bounce off each other. I mean, you could call all people bad actors. I mean, unless you're an absolute guru when it comes to the sack and getting girls you want, I mean, you could call yourself a bad actor. It's all an act. And I thought the fact this guy did a mediocre performance was, you know, appropriate. I thought he did a good job of just playing some average guy exploring the sexual underworld. In the end, I thought this was an interesting character study. It explored some interesting ideas, and I would recommend it. I would also highly recommend it, like I probably will do with every movie, because you will enjoy watching this movie smash, and the sex scenes are really hot. I mean, it's a hot film. I thought that the best part of this movie was the sex scenes. And I'm not just saying that. You can say what you want about the acting, but it's refreshing to see a movie about love and lovemaking that's actually really about that, and it delves deep into it. It's not just like some shit like 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, I think that's a worthy point of mention, and that's how I'm going to end this review. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more from me and what I have to say, then please subscribe, as I'm only just getting this film channel going again, and it'll be interesting to see what I can do by the end of the year with it. Other than all that shit, cheers for watching, and I hope to see you on my next one. Thank you very much.